This anime opens by showing the hunters' attack on an island called Jeju 3 years ago. The hunters who were currently carrying out their duties, the soldiers could only watch from a distance, because they knew that ordinary weapons could not injure, let alone defeat a monster. Unfortunately, even though the number of hunters was very large, their attacks were not strong enough to penetrate the skin of the ant monsters. Slowly, one by one, the personal hunters there began to be defeated until only one person remained. One of the hunters was still alive even though his stomach was being eaten by a monster. Suddenly, one of the high-ranking hunters came and got rid of the ant and at the same time gave healing to the hunter. When one of the high-ranking hunters looked like he was going to be attacked by several other ants, it turned out he didn't come alone. Seeing this, everyone who was still alive was shocked to see how agile the S-rank hunters were in acting like that. The three hunters are named Min Byung-gai Gyu, Baek-hyun-ho, and the magician named Yoon-seo. Not long after, a white ant appeared which they thought was just the leader of a group of red ants. But it turned out that seeing the many white ants that came, instead of being afraid, Yoon-ho felt excited and exerted his true strength, until finally they defeated the ant monster. Meanwhile, a group of red-haired glasses men named Choi Jong-in are seen, who also seem to be busy with the invasion of ant monsters from another wave. Jong-in started a counterattack by throwing his fire magic, causing the hordes of ants to die instantly. Then the narrator tells about a major incident that occurred dozens of years ago that affected the entire world. At that time, a passage to another world called a gate suddenly appeared, and in it, there were many monsters that could not be penetrated by human guns at all. After that, we are shown the levels given by the hunters from highest to lowest: rank C, rank A, rank B, rank C, rank D, and the last one is rank E. Even though it sounds strong, after someone awakens that power W, abilities will not get stronger no matter how hard he trains. In the present, several hunters are seen gathering to enter a dungeon. A middle-aged man is seen who is approached by a hunter named Park Ji-sul. He assumes that Kim Sang-shik has retired from the world of hunters. Park explained that his wife was pregnant with their second child, therefore he needed money to survive. While the two of them were chatting, Kim was seen greeting a young man who had just arrived. Seeing everyone greeting the man named Sung Jin-woo, it was clear that Park thought that Jin-woo was a very strong hunter. However, Kim said that they all greeted Jin-woo because he was called humanity's weakest weapon. Jin-woo got this nickname after he was injured and treated after being injured in an E-rank dungeon, and this made him named the weakest hunter in the first rank. Not long after, Jin-woo was seen being approached by a girl named Lee Ju-hee. Ju-hee was seen scolding Jin-woo, who is injured again and was hospitalized. A short time after chatting together, finally the time to enter the D-rank dungeon arrived. We saw a dungeon party led by a hunter named Song Cheol. After they prepared themselves, they finally entered the dungeon in front of them now. A season before entering the dungeon, Jin-woo was seen taking out a cheap dagger and almost drained all his previous income. Even though it will be very difficult, Jin-woo still intends to do his best. The scene then moves to a building that seems to be a hunter bureau. Inside, two people were seen chatting about the results of the meeting with the government. In essence, the results of the meeting were not good, but it still made sense because it was the hunter's duty and habit to earn money from the dungeon. Seen back in the dungeon, Jin-woo is seen not focusing after getting a magic stone from a goblin, and this causes him to be attacked from behind by another goblin. Even though Jin-woo managed to withstand the goblin's attack, unfortunately his dagger broke when he was about to attack him. Park saw that Jin-woo had been stabbed and immediately helped him, but the goblin's attack caused Jin-woo's stomach to bleed. Luckily, Jushi is a healer and immediately saved Jin-woo. Seeing all his party mates, Jin-woo felt jealous of all of them who had the power to finish off the monsters. The scene shifts to the Hunter's Bureau. We see the two people talking about the government, which asked the Hunter's Bureau to make a power generator powered by magic stones and mana crystals. Because both of them are ideal clean energy, the reason is none other than because they are safer than nuclear and much more efficient than currently existing energy sources. Long story short, when all their party friends were celebrating, Shiyu had succeeded in defeating the dungeon boss there. Jushi was seen scolding Jin-woo and continuing to urge him to stop endangering himself, because Ju-hee was really worried about Jin-woo. Hearing Juhi's words, he realized that his income was not worth his life. Not long afterward, one of the hunters announced that he had found a passage connected to a place, which was often referred to as a two-layer dungeon. They felt strange because the dungeon had not been closed even though the boss had been defeated. They thought that there were still prey hiding in there. According to the existing dungeon rules, they had to wait for further orders from the Hunter Bureau if they found something odd. But since they didn't want to be taken by the Hunter Bureau, they wouldn't just leave it alone. Park and Kim also felt like continuing the exploration and felt that it didn't matter, because the dungeon was only a rank D dungeon. Then Chulio opened a vote to decide whether to go forward or not, and the result was 6 in favor and 6 against. The final decision was in Jin-woo's hands, even though he already knew that he was weak, but because he needed the money for medical expenses and school fees for his younger brother. Therefore, Jin-woo made a decision that he would definitely regret for the rest of his life. The scene then switches, showing the ranking test for the new hunters. After getting the results, some people from the Hunter Guild will try to recruit those who have potential. Among the recruiters came from the highest ranking guild, led by Choi Jong-in. Even though Jong-in asked his men to recruit people with potential, he was sure that no one would be able to surpass Hunter Sha-Hyen. Then we see Ha-Yuen, who managed to reclaim a girl's wallet. Seeing the figure of a high-ranking hunter, it seems like everyone there immediately approached him because he was an idol. Long story short, before Song Kyeol's party arrived at the end of the corridor, Jin-woo continued to apologize to Juhi because of his decision, so they continued their journey. After Juhi scolded him, Jin-woo felt sorry and apologized to him. Hearing Jin-woo like that, Juhi would forgive him if Jin-woo agreed to treat her another time. After that, they arrived at the end of the hall and saw a mysterious giant door waiting to be opened, without knowing what would happen if they were in there. At the same time as those who were preparing to enter, the head of the Hunter Bureau was seen giving instructions to the new hunters, which he gave directions, even though they would later get used to doing red dungeons. But never be careless, arrogant, and never think that they were dungeons or easy. Once inside, they were all seen going to the middle of the room and felt strange about all the statues surrounding the room. Meanwhile, Jin-woo seemed to really admire one of the statues in front of him at the moment. They also felt strange about the atmosphere without the presence of monsters. And Song Kyeol seemed to realize that the circle pattern looked like a magic circle. Not long after, one of the hunters called him because he found a statue carrying a tablet with ancient writing. While Song Kyeol was reading the writing, Jusi called Jin-woo to tell him that he had just found the statue's eyes glancing at them. And this is where the very binding incident occurred, starting with the door suddenly closing and a hunter wanting to get out of there, because he felt something very bad was going to happen. When they arrived at the statue near the door that could move and kill the hunter, suddenly they were all shocked because one of them had just died like that. Seeing this, they didn't seem to believe that the dungeon they were entering was only a low-rank dungeon. Song Kyeol just realized that the statue could move. He explained that not only one statue could move. Hearing this, Jin-woo immediately looked at the giant statue behind him, which turned out to be the statue he was looking at. Jin-woo then narrated about his life, which always stood on life and death, where when his first read, Jin-woo ended up getting lost and being defeated by an E-rank monster. This made him hospitalized for weeks. Not only that, he almost died of starvation because he was trapped inside Labyrinth. Even though he continues to experience failures like that, that's what makes Jin-woo able to sharpen his sensitivity to everything around him. Then one of the statues there shot a hot laser at them, and it killed several of them instantly. Jin-woo questioned everything that happened just now. His party partners dying, the statue that could move, and the incredible heat laser attack. All this clearly makes Jin-woo conclude that there is only one thing that will happen to him, and episode 1 ends here. Thank you so much for staying on this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you up to date with our latest content. See you in the next video.